This is not the way I want to do these. The way that I would like to make these, I do not know. I'm not aware of the existence. I've looked for videos of people making shuriken where they don't just cut shuriken out of a piece of plate. And perhaps that's the way they made them, and honestly, it's an effective method. I've seen people, and I now have myself also made an effective shuriken in that manner. So we know that this will work, and so this is what I'm going with. But still, I wish I knew of a better method, and if you know, please do share with me so that I can learn it. It's very possible that this is a traditional-ish method. How I could see it happening is a smith and a striker working together to cut with a top tool from pieces of plate. I could see that. That makes sense. To try to forge this shape is honestly kind of ridiculous. Imagine trying to forge that. So much grind. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm trying to figure out how one might have forged a shape like this. Because, allow me to explain for just a moment why I see this as a large difficulty. As you strike here, you need to, when you strike here, the force, unless it's absolutely perfect, and even if it is, sometimes maybe it won't be, means it'll be very rare if you do. Force needs to be absolutely directly down this ways, and then exactly this ways, and exactly this ways. It comes out a little bit lopsided. I don't know. Maybe it's just an ish me, but I found that trying to forge this thing out very inconsistent, not very effective. I ended up wasting more metal than I would have saved if I were to be, you know, if the idea is to save metal. When you cut these out, you know, Just like scraps of paper, you do have scraps of metal. Perhaps I could see maybe there's a forging technique that I'm not aware of. Perhaps with the right level of skill and the proper technique, of course. It's a forgeable thing, but I couldn't find any example of that. In fact, the shuriken that I look at, and I looked at some examples of antiquity, of course, I cannot seem to find all that much evidence of that kind of forging. It seems to be made in very similar fashion, cut and ground. Cut close to shape and then ground to the rest. Essentially what we're doing here. Glue these stars onto the metal, and then we will have a template, and then a lot of the rest of the work will be done on the bandsaw to remove all of the excess material, clean it up more from there, and well, there's a lot more left to do after that actually. Let's do it. The Japanese word shuriken, roughly translated to English, means sword hidden in the hand. Shu meaning hand, ri meaning release, and ken meaning blade. Altogether says shuriken. There are several different types and many different variations of shuriken. These being made here are known as a Hira Shuriken or a Sanban Shuriken. Another common type of shuriken is called the bow shuriken. This is a four-sided steel spike, as opposed to the Hira Shuriken, the flat metal disc with sharp 4 points that I am making here. These weapons were used by ninja and samurai alike. Though both used them primarily as distractions, it was the ninja who used poison in attachment to these shuriken. The Hira Shuriken would be held in special pockets in the ninja's outfit and would effectively work as a type of body armor. The pockets would typically be in the chest area, helping to prevent fatal blows. Quite often in movies and in video games they show these type of shuriken being used to lethal effect, but that is simply not accurate to their usage. No, the Hira Shuriken, this shuriken that I am making here, is really more of a distraction. It does not have the penetrating power to be lethal, unless equipped with poison as a ninja does, but even that's not really instant lethality. No, the Hira Shuriken was often used as a setup for another attack. You throw your shuriken, and then while the person is trying to defend against that, you come in with a sword and cut your opponent down. These Hira Shuriken could also be used as caltrops. When thrown into the ground, points stick up, and horses or cavalry, they walk across these. A shuriken in the hoof will take that horse out of the fight, and if you're lucky, the horse hits it at a gallop, and the samurai is thrown from his horse and speared by the waiting ninja. And so these shuriken aren't really considered to be all that lethal, but that's because they don't have such long points. They're not capable of penetrating deep enough to cause mortal wounds directly. Hira Shuriken can be thrown from a distance of up to 30 feet or so, but they were also usable in direct hand-to-hand combat. The sharp edges of the shuriken can make an effective slashing tool against an unarmored bit of person. Or perhaps you're being pursued and you don't want to be. So you turn, you cast your shuriken, you nail the attacker in the face, and now you have your moment to make your escape as your opponent is trying to dig this metal disc out of their eye. Although they were a disposable weapon, these would be often collected up after a battle was done. Everything back then was handmade, and no two shuriken were alike. Neither were any two shuriken makers, and so it could be a useful bit of intel for the winning army as to who was supplying their enemies. As I stated earlier, ninja would sometimes cover their shuriken in potent poisons, so that way if it did injure an enemy, it would eventually kill them. The poison masters of the ninja clans usually took advantage of natural poisons like aconite, or they would bury the tips in feces, causing not only bacterial infection from the feces, but also when the iron rusts due to the water content, it would also cause them to contract tetanus. Another common type of Sanban or Hira Shuriken is called the fire wheel shuriken, which involves wrapping a pitch-soaked cloth around the shuriken and lighting it on fire. It was then thrown onto anything flammable, such as huts, wagons, or enemy tents. This could be used to disorient the enemy,